Goku and Teen Titans, Episode 4. Goku and Wonder Woman go on a date. Let's get it. After Piccolo's defeat, life at Titan's Tower returned to normal. Training sessions, missions, and the usual banter between teammates. But inwardly, Goku couldn't shake the words Piccolo had thrown at him, telling him, "You could have been so much stronger, but you chose weakness. You chose them." The accusation was gnawing at him. He had spent months fighting alongside the Titans, growing as a team player, but had he neglected his own growth? Back in his early days with Kami, he had trained relentlessly, pushing his limits every single day, and now he was strong, sure, but was he as strong as he could be? He clenched his fist, staring at his reflection in the tower's gem mirror, and then he went to it, and then he sat on his bed. See, Piccolo had trained non-stop, fueled by hatred. Goku didn't have that kind of anger, but maybe he needed to refocus it. He couldn't afford to get complacent, not with threats like Frieza looming in the shadows of the universe. Maybe it was time he started training seriously again, he muttered. But before he could dwell further, his door slid open. Standing in the doorway was Wonder Woman. Her arms were crossed with a small smile on her face. She told him, "You look like you're in deep thought," she remarked. Goku blinked, then grinned. "Diana, what's up?" She stepped aside, her expression shifting to something more serious. "I need your help with something, a personal matter." Goku tilted his head. "Personal? Like a mission?" "Not exactly," she said. "It's complicated. I'll explain on the way." He shrugged. "Sure, I'm in. Just let me grab my shoes." As he laced up his boots, he couldn't help but wonder what could be important enough for Wonder Woman to ask for his help. Just as Goku and Diana were about to leave, the tower's alarm blared. A beeper went off, displaying the signal of a distress beacon from an underground location. Cyborg's voice crackled over the comms. "Titans, we got a situation." Goku hesitated, glancing at Diana. "You mind if we..." Robin cut in. "Already suited up. We've got this. You two go ahead with the mission y'all have." Goku frowned. "You sure?" Robin gave a firm nod. "Yeah, it's probably just a simple rescue mission. We'll handle it." Diana placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. "They'll be fine." With that, the two stepped out, leaving the Titans to their mission. As they walked through the bustling streets of Jump City, Diana finally explained. "So, Batman helped me establish a civilian identity. Diana Prince," she said. "I have a job interview at a Greek history museum tomorrow, but I don't exactly own any normal clothes." Normal quotation marks. Goku blinked. "Wait, you need clothes?" She sighed. "Yes, something professional. I can't exactly walk in wearing my armor." Goku scratched his head. "Huh? Never really thought about that." Diana smirked. "Not all of us can get by in an orange gi, Goku." He laughed. "Fair point. But I think I know someone who can help." Before Diana could ask who he meant, Goku suddenly vanished in a blur of speed, leaving her standing alone on the sidewalk. She blinked. What? A second later, he reappeared, holding a small bag. "Sorry about that," he said, grinning. "I had to grab something first." Diana raised an eyebrow. "And that is?" Goku opened the bag, revealing his signature clothes. Her eyes widened. Goku pulled out his familiar orange gi with the blue undershirt and matching orange pants, his signature outfit, and he grinned. "Here, put these on. Gotta keep your identity safe until we get you some real clothes." Diana stared at the garments, then back at him. "You want me to wear your clothes?" "Yep," he said, completely unfazed. "It's just until we meet the person who can help. Trust me, no one will recognize you like this." Diana hesitated, a faint blush creeping onto her cheeks. The idea of wearing his clothes felt strangely intimate, like borrowing something personal from someone she deeply respected. But Goku just stood there waiting as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Finally, she sighed and took the gi. "Fine. But if anyone asks, this was your idea." Goku laughed. "Deal." She ducked off into the alleyway to change, emerging moments later in the orange and blue ensemble. The pants were a little loose and the sleeves slightly long, but it worked. She tied the belt snugly, adjusting the fit. Goku gave her a thumbs up. "Looking good." Diana rolled her eyes, but she couldn't fight the small smile that was tugging at her lips. "Let's just go before someone sees the Princess of Themyscira dressed like a karate instructor." Without warning, Goku grabbed Diana's hand and shot into the sky, his flight carrying them both at breakneck speed. Diana gasped as the wind whipped past them, the cityscape blurring beneath their feet. "Where are we going, Goku?" she shouted over the rushing air. Metropolis, he called back. Diana's eyes widened. Metropolis? Why? You'll see. Within minutes, they touched down in the heart of the bustling city. Diana looked around, bewildered as Goku scanned the skyline before suddenly pointing. There. She followed his gaze to a towering building. The Daily Planet, its iconic globe gleaming in the sunlight. Diana crossed her arms. You brought me to a newspaper agency? Goku grinned. Not just any newspaper. The best reporter in the world works here, and she's great at picking out outfits. Goku marched into the Daily Planet with Diana trailing behind him, her borrowed gi making her feel oddly self-conscious in this professional setting. Reporters bustled around, phones were ringing, keyboards were clacking, and no one was really paying them any attention. Goku scanned the room before spotting a young man with red hair and a camera around his neck. Hey, you know where Lois Lane is? The man. Jimmy Olsen blinked. Yeah, but she's not here. There's a robbery downtown. She's covering it live. Goku's eyes lit up. Perfect. Where exactly? Jimmy hesitated, glancing at Diana. Who are you guys? Friends, Goku said cheerfully. We really need her help. Jimmy shrugged. All right, well, it's at the First National Bank on 5th and... Before he could finish, Goku grabbed Diana's wrist again, looked at his name tag and said, thanks, Jimmy. And with that, they were gone in a blur, leaving Jimmy staring at the spot where they'd just been. Huh, he muttered. Lois Lane stood just outside the police barricade, microphone in hand, her sharp eyes locked on the bank where armed robbers had taken hostages. The situation was quite tense. SWAT teams were positioned, negotiators were shouting through megaphones, and the news choppers buzzed overhead. This is Lois Lane, reporting live from the scene of an ongoing hostage situation at the First National Bank, she said into her mic, her tone professional but edged with frustration. Authorities are attempting to negotiate, but the suspects are refusing to communicate. Meanwhile, Superman is currently occupied with the meteor threat near Canada. She cut herself off with an irritated sigh, and Clark Kent is stuck in traffic. Perfect timing as always, Smallville. Just then a familiar voice piped up behind her. Hey, Lois. Lois spun around and nearly dropped her microphone. Standing there grinning like this was a casual meetup was the same spiky-haired teenager who had saved her from the live wires falling debris a month ago. And beside him was what seemed to be Wonder Woman, awkwardly dressed in what looked like his clothes. Goku? Lois blinked. Why are you here? There's an active hostage situation. Goku scratched his head. Oh yeah, that. Well, we actually came to ask you for help. Lois stared. Me? Diana stepped forward, looking uncharacteristically sheepish in the oversized gi. I require fashion advice. Lois's mouth opened, then closed. She glanced back at the bank, then at the two of them, then at the bank again. You what? Goku nodded eagerly. Yeah, you always dress super nice, and Diana needs something professional for a job interview tomorrow. Lois pinched the bridge of her nose. Let me get this straight. You flew to a robbery hostage crisis to ask me about some work clothes. Diana sighed. In hindsight, this was poor timing. Before Lois could respond, a loud boom echoed from the bank, the sound of a grenade detonating. The police scrambled, shouting orders. Lois threw her hands up. Fine, I'll help you with your fashion emergency after you deal with the guys holding 20 people hostage, she yelled. Goku grinned. Deal. Without hesitation, he and Diana strode toward the bank's shattered entrance, ignoring the shouts of SWAT officers trying to stop them. The robbers had barricaded themselves inside, but the reinforced doors might as well have been tissue paper. Goku pushed them open like they were nothing. Diana followed, her borrowed gi sleeves flapping slightly as she stepped into the dimly lit bank. The hostages were huddled in the center, terrified, while 5 armed men in ski masks stood guard. One officer yelled after them, What are you doing? Get back. But it was too late. They had already managed to make it inside. The lead robber, a burly man with a shotgun, turned at the sound of the doors creaking open. When he saw Goku and Diana standing there in matching orange and blue, he burst out laughing. Well, looks like Halloween came early, he jeered, nudging his partner. You two lost a karate tournament or something? Goku didn't smile. Diana didn't either. Instead, their eyes flickered across the room, assessing 4 gunmen. One explosives expert near the back, and hostages unharmed but shaken. You take left, Diana murmured. Got it, Goku replied. The robber's smirk faded. Hey, I'm talking to you. Close your eyes, Goku whispered. Diana obeyed instantly. Then Goku clapped his hands together, but instead of a normal sound, a surge of ki erupted between his palms, exploding outward in a blinding white flash that filled the entire bank, similar to the cannon solar flare technique. What the? The robbers screamed, clawing at their eyes. I can't see. It was a technique he'd been perfecting with Starfire, mimicking her starboat's radiance but weaponizing it as a disorienting flare, and it worked perfectly in this incident. Before the robbers could recover, Goku and Diana moved. Goku blurred forward, disarming two men with precise chops to their wrists before flipping a third over his shoulder. Diana moved like a gust of wind, disarming the last two, snapping their weapons in half like pencils, and pinning the explosive experts to the ground before he could trigger the detonator. The whole fight lasted a total of 3 seconds. The hostages blinked in shock as the smoke cleared, revealing all 5 criminals groaning on the floor. Goku turned to them with a thumbs up. Alright, you're all good now. Diana untied the nearest civilian. Remain calm. The police should be coming soon. Outside, SWAT stormed in, only to freeze at the sight of the already handled situation. Goku walked past the stunned officers and news cameras like nothing had happened, heading straight for Lois, who was standing with her arms crossed. All right, he said cheerfully. Robbers are handled. Now you ready to help us out? Lois stared at him, then at Diana, then back at the bank. Unbelievable. But she grabbed her keys anyway. Fine, get in the car. Deal's a deal. The 3 of them walked off, leaving behind a crowd of baffled cops and reporters, and one very confused Jimmy Olsen who had just arrived with his camera on the scene. Did I miss something? Lois didn't answer. She just sighed and started the engine. As Lois pulled out of the crime scene parking lot, Goku leaned forward from the back seat. So Diana's got this big interview at a Greek museum tomorrow, but she's never had to dress like a civilian before. I figured who'd better to ask than you, he grinned. You're the most professional-looking woman I know. Lois shot him a sideways glance. Her lips quirked into a smirk. Flattery will get you everywhere, kid. She adjusted the rearview mirror, eyeing Diana in the passenger seat. Though I'm still trying to process why the Wonder Woman needs my fashion advice. The Amazon was surprised Lois knew it was her until she realized she still kept on her tiara that entire time, and then Diana shifted slightly in the oversized gi to answer her question. I must adapt to the modern world. Lois chuckled. Well, lucky for you, I know exactly where to go to get you adapted. The department store Lois took them to was sleek and upscale, far fancier than anywhere Goku had ever shopped. While Diana hesitated near the entrance, Lois marched straight to the business attire section, grabbing blazers, pencil skirts, and blouses with precision of a general planning a siege. Try these, she said, thrusting an armful of clothes at Diana before shooting her into the changing room. Left alone, Goku plopped onto a bench outside the fitting area, swinging his legs idly. He could hear Lois critiquing from inside. No, the navy one's better. Lose the pinstripes. Yes, that's the one. He smiled faintly. It was nice seeing Diana get help, even if the whole situation was a little surreal. But as the muffled fashion debate continued, Goku's thoughts drifted back to Piccolo. You chose weakness when you chose them. His fist clenched. Had he really gotten weaker since joining the Titans? He'd been so focused on teamwork that he hadn't pushed his own limits like before. Sure, he had learned certain abilities, but had he been lacking in his general power outage, the power output of his abilities? And if Piccolo came back stronger, angrier, would he even be ready to face him? A cold certainty settled in his gut. Then the change room curtain swished open, snapping him back to the present. Well, Lois said, stepping aside to reveal Diana in a sleek, tailored pantsuit. What do you think? Goku blinked. Yeah, it looks great. Diana arched an eyebrow. You weren't even looking. He rubbed his neck sheepishly. Sorry, got distracted. Lois sighed. Boys. And then the women went back into the change room, and Goku's mind was already back to thinking of training plans, new techniques, and ways to push himself further. Lois had Diana twirling in front of the mirror in her third different pantsuit when she finally paused, tapping her chin thoughtfully. Okay, museum director vibes, check. But a mischievous grin spread across her face as she reached for a different rack. What about something for after the interview? Diana blinked as Lois held up a sleek emerald green dress. elegant but undeniably more form-fitting than the professional attire they'd been focusing on. For what occasion exactly? Diana asked cautiously. Lois smirked, nodding toward the dressing room door where Goku waited obviously. Oh, I don't know. Dinner with a certain spiky-haired hero who apparently thinks clashing orange is peak fashion? Diana's cheeks warmed slightly. That's unnecessary. Goku doesn't notice such things. Uh-huh. Lois draped the dress over her arm anyway. Kid might be clueless, but he'd have to be blind not to see you in this. Diana folded her arms, though her tone held more amusement than protest. We are warriors, Lois. Not whatever you are implying. Lois burst out laughing. Oh, I like you. She tossed the dress into the yes pile. But fine. We'll blame me for this frivolous act. Every woman deserves one killer outfit that she doesn't need. Diana hesitated, then glanced at the emerald fabric. The dress seems to be well tailored for combat mobility. That's the spirit, Lois winked. And if a certain monkey boy happens to trip over his own feet, seeing you in it, well, that's just a bonus. And outside, Goku sneezed loudly. Unaware of the fashion conspiracy that was unfolding inside, Goku slumped on the bench, chin in his hands. Piccolo's taunts echoed in his skull. You've gone soft. His fingers twitched. Maybe he needed to train harder. And then he was brought out of his trance. Earth to Goku. Lois snapped him back to reality. She and Diana stood before him, the latter now in a crisp black blazer and slacks. Her hair was neatly tied back. Whoa, he jumped. You look, professional, Diana supplied dryly. Yeah, that. Lois rolled her eyes. I see why she didn't bother with that dress. Diana's lips quirked. Yeah, I told you. Goku blinked. Wait, what dress? Lois groaned. Never mind, let's just get you two back before you cause something chaotic. You superhumans are magnets for trouble. As they left, Goku's earlier doubts lingered, but for now he pushed them aside, one problem at a time. Diana stepped out of the changing room in her final outfit, and she turned to Goku with expert glance. You think this will suffice? Goku blinked, then grinned. Yeah, you look great, like a real museum person. Diana arched an eyebrow at his phrasing, but nodded in thanks. However, she didn't miss the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. There was tension in his shoulders, a distracted flicker in his gaze, like something was weighing on him. She considered pressing him after all. They had known each other since their days sparring on Themyscira as kids, but the crowded store wasn't the place for that conversation. Instead, she simply said, "Thank you for your help today." Goku rubbed the back of his neck. Hey, no problem. I'm just returning the favor. What are friends for? But as they walked toward the checkout, Diana made a mental note to speak with him later, alone, on what was bothering him. At the register, Goku pulled out a sleek black card, one of the few remnants of his time working for Lex Luthor, and he handed it to the cashier without even glancing at the total. Lois's jaw dropped as the machine beeped approval. Hold on. Since when do you have an unlimited credit energy? Goku shrugged. Lex paid me a lot. I just never spent it. Lois groaned, rubbing her temples. Of course, the guy who wears the same gi every day is secretly loaded. She shot Diana a look. And you let him dress you in his clothes. Diana smirked. I was unaware of his financial situation. Lois grumbled. Something about unfair superhero economics before grabbing her keys. All right, I've done my good deed. Try not to cause any more chaos before the interview. Goku waved. Thanks, Lois. We'll fly back. Lois paused, eyeing Diana's shopping bags. You're going to fly back in that suit? Diana simply levitated slightly off the ground in response. Lois sighed. Right. Forgot who I was talking to. With the final wave, she drove off, leaving the two heroes standing outside the store. Goku turned to Diana. You ready to head back? She studied him for a moment before nodding. Yes. But first, we should talk. Goku's smile faltered. He knew exactly what she meant. Once they were alone on a quiet rooftop, Diana turned to Goku, her gaze steady. You've been distracted all day. What troubles you? Goku blinked, scratching his head. That obvious, huh? He sighed, dropping his usual grin. It's just something Piccolo said that I've gotten weaker because I've been relying on the team too much. Diana crossed her arms. And you believe him? Goku frowned. I don't know, maybe. Back when I trained with Kami, I pushed myself every day. Now, he flexed his hand. as if testing his own strength. What if I've been slacking off? Diana shook her head. Piccolo lost because he decided to fight alone. That isn't strength, it's arrogance. Goku's brow furrowed. But what if the next enemy is stronger than all of us combined? His mind flashed to a picture of Frieza, a being who could obliterate planets on a whim. What then? Diana placed a hand on his shoulder. Then you adapt to that situation, as you always have. Goku exhaled sharply. I just don't want to let anyone down. Diana smiled softly. Then trust your instincts. Trust your heart. Train harder if you must, but never forget why you fight. Goku mulled over her words. As the sun dipped below the horizon, finally he nodded. Yeah, you're right. I always said that I fight for self-improvement. With a final glance, they parted ways. Diana back towards the League headquarters, and Goku back to Titan's Tower, both lost in thought. As Goku soared through the night sky, Diana's advice echoed in his mind. Trust your heart. Maybe he could balance teamwork and personal growth. Maybe. His thoughts were cut short as Titan's Tower came into view, and with it, an unexpected sight. The door slid open to reveal the team gathered around a new face. A blonde girl in a cropped black shirt, looking both nervous and determined. Goku, Beast Boy cheered. Meet Terra, our newest member. Goku blinked, then grinned. Hey, nice to meet you. Terra offered a small smile. Yeah, you too. As the others filled him in, Goku felt a spark of renewed energy. Maybe this new blood is exactly what he needed. The team was growing. This would be a perfect time for him to grow as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this episode, man. I decided, make it more laid back on a personal tip. Peace.